Race held in 1984 at Long Beach, Mario led from green to checker. 1985 was again Mario on the pole, Mario with the fastest lap, and Mario Andretti with the win. Now counting a Formula One win in 1977, Mario held 3 Long Beach victories. 86 was still an Andretti year, but this time it was Michael, Mario's 24-year-old son. It was Michael's first IndyCar win and began a season that ended with the runner-up spot in the national championship. The reigning national champion, Bobby Rahal, with 6 IndyCar wins in 1986, including the prestigious Indianapolis 500. But the streets of Long Beach are rough for Rahal. In 1985, he glanced off the wall on the first lap, and he's never finished here in the top 10 position. Well, a ripple of excitement moves through this giant crowd here in Long Beach, California, under beautiful blue skies. The IndyCars are ready to begin the 1987 season on a chase through the streets of Long Beach. Hello, I'm Paul Page, and a winter of designing and dreaming has now come to an end. It's time to prove your worth. The NBC racing team is ready as well. And joining us for the first time, a man eloquent with wheel in hand and eloquent with word as well, 3-time world driving champion Jackie Stewart.
Well, Paul, it's very nice for me to be back amongst the Indy cars and the CART series. It's a long while since I've been to a road course, and I think this is exciting for me, particularly Long Beach. It's, I suppose, to the CART series what Monte Carlo is to the Grand Prix world.
We have an interesting situation this season, Jackie, in that the champion from last year moved from his March car over to a Lola chassis, and the winner of the last race moved from a Lola to a March.
Well, looking around the track as I have during qualifying and practice, it seems certain to me that the Lola is the best car here. And for those drivers who are driving a Lola right now, they've got a considerable advantage. A street course means that you've got to have a very good pointability of the car. It's got to turn into corners well. So many tight corners here, that's absolutely essential. The Lola has the edge right now. Another interesting fact, the engines. Normally dominated by the Cosworth engine. In the top 10, 5 are Cosworth, 4 are Chevrolet, and 1 is a Brabham Honda. So the Chevrolet and the Brabham are beginning to challenge. Well, I think that's very healthy. I think Chevrolet have done a great job in bringing a racing engine designed and made over in Europe at this time, but it's a terrific advantage, I think, for American racing. I think the fact that Honda are in here, although not officially in the full sense of the word, they're still playing with it a little bit. But if later on this season Porsche come in, that's going to be very good for American racing, as also is the suggestion that maybe a Ferrari might appear. Now, if that happens, the major manufacturers coming in, and of course the Cosworth still being here, I think it's very good for racing.
So the dominance of the Cosworth, 84 straight wins, might be coming to an end. And we're ready for the start of the IndyCar season here on NBC.
NBC Sports presents the IndyCars. Today, it's the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, and it's brought to you by your Toyota dealer and the Super Turbo. Ultimate performance. Who could ask for anything more? Toyota. By Miller High Life. Miller made the American way since 1855. By the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. No matter how far you go, Goodyear takes you home. And by True Value Hardware. More than just a name, it's their way of doing business.
Mario Andretti, the pole sitter, sits ready to begin the 1987 season. A brand new car, an even newer engine, a new power plant to challenge the streets of Long Beach. And his car owner, Paul Newman, just a few feet away, coming off a victory in his own right, winning an Academy Award as Best Actor for the very first time. Now he worries about victory and Mario Andretti. And then there is son Michael, 24 years old. He is the defending champion here at Long Beach. And his challenger last year and throughout the season, Al Unser Jr. And Roberto Guerrero, who nearly won the last race at the end of last season. But the time is at hand. Here's Bob McCurry at Toyota.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
the roar of over 20,000 horsepower begins to echo off the walls of the building here at Long Beach. Carrying the number 1 of the national champion, Bobby Rahal, sits ready. A final check of the mirrors, a look toward his chief mechanic. The front row ready now to push away for the first race of the 1987 IndyCar season. And the first row rolls out. It's Mario Andretti on the pole and Roberto Guerrero just alongside. Now the rest of the field begins to roll through.
Emerson Fittipaldi, twice world champion, another road racer, Kevin Cogan alongside him in row 2.
In the third row, on the inside is the defending champion, Michael Andretti. To the outside, Al Unser Jr.
Bobby Rahal, not a specialist here, but Jeff Brabham, always a bridesmaid. 3 times he's been second, 4 times he's been second in CART racing.
Back in the fifth row, the pole sitter from 1986, Danny Sullivan, a Chevrolet-powered machine. And alongside Danny is Tom Sneva, who has always finished at Long Beach in the top 10. As we take a look at the rest of the field, there is Jose Legarza of Mexico City, Arie Luyendyk of Holland. In the seventh row, rookie Jeff McPherson and Fabrizio Barbaza, also a rookie. In the eighth row, Ludwig Heimrath Jr., a rookie, and Chip Robinson. The ninth row, rookie Didier Fays and Rick Mears, longtime veteran. The 10th row, Randy Lewis and Rocky Moran. Back in the 11th row, veteran Dick Simon and 3-time Indianapolis 500 winner Johnny Rutherford. And in the 12th and final row, Dennis Firestone and Tony Bettenhausen. There are 6 Lolas, 2 TC-16s, and 16 Marches in this field ready to take the green flag. 24 Indy cars at Long Beach. The distance of the race, just over 158 miles, 95 laps. That should require 2 pit stops. The circuit at Long Beach is 11 turns. 7 are to the right, 4 are to the left. Now, let's take a look at the circuit at Long Beach with Jackie Stewart.
Well, Long Beach, of course, is quite slow in its character. If we go from the start-finishing line, we get up to about 176 before the first corner. Then we go down through the box. Second gear, as the red line follows the course, we'd still be in second gear. We'd be accelerating into third gear there, into second gear again for a right-angled corner, keeping it in second gear all the way through there, almost a tunnel. Then we get into third gear as we start what they call the back stretch, up to about 160 miles an hour before braking heavily into second gear again, third gear, back into second gear, then into first gear for acceleration from the slowest part of the circuit, back to the start-finishing line, passing that about 135 miles an hour. It's a tough 66 seconds.
95 of those laps, and you can be the winner at Long Beach. The pole sitter, Mario Andretti, as the crowd now begins to come to their feet, anticipating the start here. We're ready to go. This is the opener of the 1987 season. Andretti, Guerrero, they come off the line. They're ready to face the green flag. The rest of the field strings through that hairpin. They form up very nicely. Nick Finoro, the starter, has the flag. He takes a look. The field is good, and they're green and racing. Andretti has the lead. Fittipaldi drops right in behind. The first turn. It's look at Michael Andretti. Michael Andretti over the pylon.
Well, Michael just didn't see those pylons. That was an error by him. That would be costly. In fact, his wings come off. You can see in the left of our picture, the front wing has come off of that car. Aerodynamically, it won't be good. Tom Sneva tucking in there. That wasn't so easy for him either. As the cars go through without incident, it would have been very simple for an accident to develop out of that young Michael Andretti situation there, because he was surely shocked by it. With the cars full of fuel, the tires cold, it could have been a problem for the rest of the field. But Papa, he's showing the way. Mario Andretti still leading here. Let's have a look at the replay as Andretti Jr. comes inside. He tries to get past Guerrero there. He didn't see the cones to begin with, and frankly, they were an obstacle that could have been avoided. There were really no reason for them, in my mind, to be there, but they certainly wrenched off his wings, and certainly those obstacles won't be around there the next lap round.
So Michael Andretti runs with a lame machine here at the conclusion of lap number 1. It will be Mario Andretti, that bright red number 5 machine. He is being chased by Emerson Fittipaldi, the 2-time world driving champion. And Michael Andretti drops back in a distant third position with the damaged right front wing, followed by Kevin Cogan and then Roberto Guerrero. There's your lead. Emerson Fittipaldi right behind Andretti, followed by Michael. And Michael really has a problem to fight with that wing. Arie Luyendyk spins it, and getting past is Jeff McPherson. Luyendyk didn't appear to touch anything.
Well, he just had a clean spin. He's very lucky here at Long Beach that he did not come in contact with any concrete. He chose one corner where he had room to spin out. He kept the engine running, but he stalled it right now. He had kept the engine running, but here the leader's back. Mario Andretti still leading Fittipaldi. In qualifying and practice, Fittipaldi's car has not been going as well as it is right now. It did work well in full tanks, and they seem to be happy with the car right now because he's really glued to Mario Andretti.
Again at Long Beach, as with all road courses, the yellow flag will fly only in the section of the circuit where the incident exists unless they need much more room. Now remember, the son of this man, the leader, Michael Andretti, has a problem with his right front wing. It is really difficult to handle the car with that, so let's go down to Michael's pits and find out what the crew is thinking about this.
Well, tough luck in the first turn for Michael Andretti, the defending champion. He ran over the cones, and he lost his front right wing. And right now in the pits, they're trying to assess from Michael. He hasn't been able to get back to us as of yet of how the car is handling. Obviously, can't be handling too well, but the crew is getting ready to change the front wings on the car. So Michael Andretti can get back into the race, but it is a tough start for the defending champion.
Well, there's a good view of Michael's machine. Again, that right front wing gone, and that's going to affect handling badly.
Well, it is, but on the other hand, it's the right one that's missing because most of the corners are right-hand bend, and for that reason it is to his advantage to have some of the wing over the leading wheel. In other words, the wheel is going to be loaded with suspension, but it certainly can't be helping. It'll make the understeer come in. That means to say the car will push. It'll want to go straight on instead of going round the corners just a wee bit.
You can see that Kevin Cogan is closed up behind Michael Andretti now. Bobby Rahal is in that fight as well, as Michael Andretti tries to fight his way around the circuit. Now remember, Mario Andretti, the leader, has a brand new Ilmor Chevrolet racing engine in that car. Let's go to Gary in Andretti pit.
Paul, the dominance of Mario Andretti at Long Beach has well been documented, of course. Wins 2 of the last 3 years. On the pole again, once again, this time around. The marriage of the Chevy Ilmor engine along with the Lola chassis seems to be working superbly thus far. However, the reliability is very much a question. The team manager for Mario Andretti this year, Tyler Alexander. Tyler, how legitimate are the concerns about whether or not this power plant can go the distance today?
Well, we're certainly hoping it'll go the distance. It's obviously a very new program for us, and we're in a learning curve, but we're very pleased to be with Chevrolet, and we hope that things are going to work out all right.
Tyler Alexander, the team manager for Mario Andretti. Realize this, Cosworth has won 84 consecutive IndyCar races. During that stretch that date back to 1981, Mario Andretti has won 13 times for the Cosworth. Today, he's hoping to bring the Ilmor Chevy to victory lane to end that Cosworth domination.
Well, at the moment, first, second, and fourth place are Chevrolet racing engines. The Cosworth engine sits in this number 18 car of Michael Andretti, and that car is lame.
Well, Michael has a little traffic jam behind him here. I think his wing's slowing him up, and therefore Kogan and Guerrero are closing in on him. Michael's using a little bit of extra road going down the straight. You can see he's not in the racing line, so to speak, because he fears, I think, that he's going to be passed by Kogan. That front wing is certainly not helping him. It's certainly not giving him the front end bite.
So Kogan and Guerrero close up behind Michael Andretti and battle for third place. Ari Leyendijk in the pits. Remember, he spun earlier. Apparently, that spin causing some damage to the car. There go the leaders. First Andretti, then Fittipaldi. Here comes Michael Andretti, then Kevin Kogan, then Roberto Guerrero. Bobby Rahal comes through. Bobby Rahal has something wrong. The right front wheel damaged. Back to the leaders, but Rahal with a problem.
Yeah, he's hit a wall. He's kissed a wall. He's certainly knocked the wheel out of place. This is the big threat to all race drivers in the street course, particularly with the high concrete walls around them. You can do it with front wheels or rear wheels, and certainly Rahal gave it a whack with the front wheel. We can see it here again, hopefully in slow motion. The 3 cars go through, and then you'll see Rahal bang. That's where it comes. You can see the car coming through a little puff of smoke, and already you can see that wheel way out of line. The end of the race for him.
So Bobby Rahal, with that right front wheel cocked, now sits in the pits, unbuckles, pulls off the steering wheel, and climbs out. The end of the day for a man who has never done well at Long Beach. He crashed here in 1985. He has never finished in the top 10, and he is out in the early going once again. The battle continues for third place. Michael Andretti holding off Kevin Kogan and Roberto Guerrero, as Bobby Rahal, disgusted, once again is forced to walk away from his car early in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. We'll be back.
Miller High Life is proud to sponsor Danny Sullivan driving the Miller American.
When four-time Indy winner A.J. Foyt takes to the track, he uses just one make of tire, the Goodyear Racing Eagle. And the official Cadillac safety car takes to the track on just one make of tire, the Goodyear Eagle VR Gatorback Street Radial. And not by coincidence, because Goodyear makes better high-performance tires for the track and for the street. Goodyear Eagles. They'll take you home the quick way or to the winner's circle. Goodyear, take me home.
Before any race, Rick Mears has a lot on his mind. His car, his competition, but not his motor oil, because he uses Pennzoil. In all his years of racing with Pennzoil, he's never had an oil-related breakdown, which explains why Rick Mears isn't just one of the fastest men in racing history, but one of the smartest as well. Pennzoil, the standard of protection since 1889. Now, during Pennzoil's Indy Winter Sale, get 20 cents back on every quart or $3 back on every case of quality Pennzoil.
We're back at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Paul Page with Jackie Stewart, Gary Gerald, and Bruce Jenner. Mario Andretti is the leader. He's led from the green flag, but you can see he is being closely and hotly pursued by Emerson Fittipaldi.
Well, I think the Andretti car is working just as it has in practice and qualifying. Mario knows how to set up a car, enormously mature race driver, but of course Fittipaldi is no fool either, and he's done his bit in serving an apprenticeship of making cars work, particularly around street courses. This is a second life for Fittipaldi in a way. Of course, he had won 2 world championships. I had raced a lot with him. I raced a lot with Mario also. He's a very aggressive driver, more aggressive, in fact, than Fittipaldi is. Of course, the third car comes into the picture now, Michael Andretti, then Kevin Cogan. Now, Andretti still has that wing missing.
But he seems satisfied with the way the car is running. No indication that he wants to come to the pits. But in the pits is the broken car of Bobby Rahal, who once again is out of this race in the early going. Let's join him and Bruce Jenner.
Bobby, the toughest thing you can do is come back to Long Beach every year. It's probably one of the most frustrating things you can ever go through. People don't realize how much really goes into these things to make these cars go out there and work, and that'd be a tough time for you.
Yeah, I'm just really disappointed because I was taking it easy and the car felt reasonably good. And I guess you can just put it down to my ruining the race for a bunch of good guys.
What actually happened out there?
I just touched the wall, and I didn't even think I was close to it, but as I said, I was taking it easy with the tires. Just stupid.
So the season not starting well once again for Bobby Rahal, but it wasn't so good last year, and he finished up with a national championship. The battle is for the lead. It's remained this way with Mario Andretti holding off the challenge of Emerson Fittipaldi.
In fact, Emerson, I think, probably feels quite happy to be where he is. His car has not been working well all weekend, and certainly it seems to be now.
And for the moment, Michael Andretti runs alone in third place.
It seems to me that he's come to deal with this problem of that front end very well indeed, because he's drawn away a little bit.
He's also using the back marker traffic very effectively to keep Kevin Cogan and Roberto Guerrero off of his back end while he gets around this circuit here at Long Beach. There you see Tony Bettenhausen, for example, and Michael Andretti was able to trap both Cogan and Guerrero behind him and thereby get a little bit of an advantage.
Traffic, of course, in a place like Long Beach is absolutely crucial. You can't see far ahead because of the walls. You're so low in the car itself. And, of course, to anticipate when you can pass another car is not an easy matter, because Guerrero now is getting set up to try and get Cogan, but Cogan chops him off very nicely there, but it was a proper look-see by Guerrero.
So while the two of those fight with one another, that too should give a small advantage to Andretti, who has his problems with that front wing. Remember, Andretti is in third place, then the 7 car of Kevin Cogan is in 4th place, and the 4 car of Roberto Guerrero, that brightly colored car, sits back in 5th position. And back in the paddock area, this is the right front wheel assembly on Bobby Rahall's car. You can see how badly damaged it is. And with Bobby Rahall, that's Steve Horn, the team manager. A little consolation. They don't do well at Long Beach, but still, it could be a better season. It certainly was last year. Back to the lead once again. Here is Mario Andretti, again being chased by the 20 car, Emerson Fittipaldi. Into turn 10. This is a very difficult turn, Jackie Stewart, because it leads to the key of the whole course.
Well, when you come through into this hairpin bend that comes up, this is the problem here. You've got to get the car lined up here as Hogan goes through there, and then get it into first gear and make sure that you get a clean exit from this, because now they accelerate from first to second to third to fourth to fifth gear, getting from 135 miles an hour just there right up to about 176 before going into this series of turns.
Well, the Ilmore Chevrolet engine performing very well here at the start of the season. Mario is a Chevrolet. Emerson Fittipaldi is a Chevrolet. That's first and second. And then there is a Chevrolet sitting back in Kevin Hogan's car, currently running in fourth place. But a man with trouble is the leading Cosworth engine, currently running in third. That is Michael Andretti. The engine is fine. The right front wing is gone. In the pits, they must decide what to do about that. Let's go to Bruce Jenner.
Barry Green and Harry, we just went over the 16 lap mark. What's the status of Michael?
Well, right now, Bruce, he's very happy. He's staying in touch with the lead, and he says he's going to stay out right now. The wing's not upsetting him too much. He's keeping an eye on the front tires, though, because he does have a little more understeer, but right now he's looking good.
When he does come in, how much longer will it take the pit stop to change that front wing?
If all goes well, he'll probably lose 5 or 6 seconds more. We're going to have to change the tires because we're destroying them right now. So we're just hoping that maybe we'll get a yellow, you see, and we can't afford to come in before a yellow.
Thanks, Barry.
So, Jackie Stewart, they're more concerned about tire wear than handling.
Well, of course, it really goes hand in hand. If the handling is not correct, the tire wear is higher. So it's a question of the pit checking that tire wear. When he does come in, of course, he will change rubber. In the meantime, it's up to the driver to drive from the seat of his pants to compensate for that missing wing.
Back at the front of the race, Mario Andretti, Emerson Fittipaldi. They have continued around the circuit like this, lap after lap, as they come up to pass the slower car of Johnny Rutherford. The key will be how Mario Andretti is able to handle that traffic, and can he keep Emerson Fittipaldi back in doing so. Mario Andretti leads it in the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. We'll be back with more right after this.
For roasted malt, for richness you can see, quality you can taste, being the best you can be. That's the American way.
Before you head out to take care of your yard,
Red number 5 continues his lead at Long Beach with Emerson Fittipaldi just behind. And as they come around Randy Lewis, this is going to be a key, Jackie Stewart. We talked earlier about how to handle the back markers.
Well, both drivers are very experienced in this. Randy, I don't think Randy's looking in his mirror right there, because Fittipaldi was looking for him to let him pass, and in fact he didn't do so. Now he'll get him in the main straight, I suppose. But really working the traffic is a skill. You've got such little vision from where you sit in a low car such as you're looking at right now. You're only a couple of feet off the ground, really, and you can't see around cars, so you've got to see the opportunity as it comes along. And if another driver is not cooperative, it can really cause a trouble because of the close confines of a street course like this.
Mario Andretti still leads, but here's a car with a problem on Shoreline. The pit straight, that's Johnny Rutherford, and fire erupts at the back of the car. That shouldn't be a great danger. It's just an oil fire. You see already it's almost burned its way out. But that leaves a trail of oil on the inside of the pit straight.
Well, in fact, the fire is still going. He switched off the engine. That's when the smoke stopped, but the fire is still burning. But I'm sure there'll be this. That lady with the pail of water, or maybe it's sand there, won't do a great job, but I'm sure they've got extinguishers there ready for that. The emergency crews always on hand.
Back to to the lead. Mario Andretti, bright red number 5, and Emerson Fittipaldi chasing him. Mario is an absolute master as they come through this smoke-laden area where Rutherford has laid down a trail of oil, and the fire still burns there at the back of Rutherford's car. Now, using water is just fine to put out an alcohol fire. It dilutes the alcohol out, but when a turbocharger fire like that, there's a little bit of oil in there. Nevertheless, it appears out now, and Rutherford is safe. We are looking at the fight for 4th place. That is Kevin Cogan, the number 7 car, and he's being chased by the number 4 machine, Roberto Guerrero.
Well, there's Cogan taking the tight line at the end of the straight, tucking himself in there, and he's got underneath that floor car as he accelerates along now. This is important for him again. Remember the traffic factor. Guerrero gets through. The other driver, being a gentleman, moving over and letting him breathe. Very important to be able to look at your mirrors, and when you're changing gear, going through tight and fast corners alike, and to have to look in the mirror as well as your gauges is no easy matter. Looks like Heinrath there right now looks in his mirror, and there he does it again, looking for Mario Andretti. Now, he's used to road courses. He's been in Formula 4. He's been in Formula V. He knows to look in that mirror.
Mario Andretti still the leader, and Danny Sullivan slows down. He's right at the head of the pits, and Gary Gerald's right there.
Well, an unscheduled problem. We don't know what it is. Danny Sullivan has just coasted to a stop coming out of turn number 11. One of the CART officials, Big Bill Luchow, was there conferring with him. When Sullivan rolled to a stop, he gestured as if he didn't know what the problem was. We don't yet know. His crew and his pit are at the opposite end of this long straightaway, so he's a long way from home at the moment, and obviously out of luck at Long Beach.
So Chuck Sprague and the crew now begin to run up to Danny Sullivan to push that car back, but the question, Jackie Stewart, is going to be the Chevrolet engine. Danny Sullivan has a Chevrolet. So does this leader. So does the man in second place. If it's the engine, then Mario Andretti has a problem.
Well, it is a relatively new engine, of course, and there's always bugs to get out of new machinery, and of course it's a threat if we're beginning to see the ugly head of a little problem being developed here, but maybe it's a little too early to say that yet.
Now, I did say that the engines were the same. Mario Andretti has a single wastegate, while most of the other cars have dual wastegates. Here is Michael Andretti. He still runs in 3rd place. He still races with that right front wing totally gone. It must be a tremendous job to be able to handle this car around the circuit. But Michael is doing the job very effectively, continuing to run right from the green flag in 3rd. And Roberto Guerrero brings the number 4 machine. He was in 5th place. He's in for routine pit service.
And you can see the heat coming off the exhaust there. Of course, most of that is the alcohol being burned. It's interesting from a driver's point of view. He turned away the refreshment he was offered. You lose about 5 or 6 pounds in weight in a race such as this, but he turned away his drink.
Emerson Fittipaldi, 2nd place, and the leader, Mario Andretti, both stay out yet another lap. They are not ready to come in for their planned pit stops. Roberto Guerrero, 21 seconds, in and out of the pits. They changed all 4 tires. You can see the new labels still on these tires. And here is Danny Sullivan. The Penske team being told by CART official Billy Camphausen, get your car over to the side and out of the way as they push it through, because there are other cars making stops. One of them, this man, Michael Andretti. Now, will they work on the wing? Let's go to the pits and Bruce.
Michael Andretti bringing the Graco March to a stop, and you can see the front damage that he has to the car. They're putting a new wing over the side, but nobody seems to be working on it. Michael Andretti, now they're starting to pull it off, and they're going to put the new one on. They say it won't take too much longer. They went for left outside tires and a right rear, and now the front end is going on. You can see how quickly the front can be changed. They think it'll only take just a few minutes, so what they don't want to do is go down another lap. So Michael Andretti, the defending champion in this race, it is a tough start for him, but with a quick change here, right now they're adjusting the level on the front end of the car, making sure the wing is right, and they're off the jack, and really a great job for the Graco team. They did a nice job of getting the car in and out of the pit and making that front wing change.
An agonizing period of time for Michael Andretti. And Jackie Stewart, how do they know that they got the wing at the right angle?
Well, that's one of the big questions. I think we're going to have to wait and see. I should think that Michael Andretti will be talking to his pit on his radio and telling them if the car is handling much better.
Unser Jr. is in. So is Fittipaldi. Here's Gary Gerald.
Fittipaldi Fittipaldi hits the mark right on target. The crew over the wall quickly. They go to work on both sides of the race car, and of course they're topping off. The first measure now on the fuel test becomes a factor. It looks like fresh rubber all the way around. Gary Robazzini going from the left to the right front side now. Fuel hose is uncoupled. Looks like they're ready to come off the jack. Emerson Fittipaldi back in action in just under 20 seconds.
Well, he's done it in the past. He's doing it again. Mario Andretti is still staying out, despite the fact that now everyone else in the starting field has made their first pit stop. So his fuel economy appears to be much better.
Well, it would seem that Mario may not have to drive his car quite so aggressively if he's got that much fuel left, because the leading cars are using much the same engines, and of course there was some concern before the beginning of this race as to whether fuel would be a problem.
Mario Andretti is still the leader at Long Beach, and we'll be back with more after these words from your local station. To the first regularly scheduled pit stop at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Mario Andretti is the leader. He has not yet stopped, though most of the other cars in the top serial have made their pit stops. We still anticipate a stop by Kevin Kogan, who heads on the pit road at this moment. But Mario Andretti, there's Kogan making his stop. Mario Andretti remains out.
Well, Kogan, you can see again the heat of the exhaust as Kogan sits calmly in the car waiting to be told when to go. It's very important that he's told by one man who puts it into gear and accelerates out. Obviously has to be careful of his transmission.
The question is this man, Mario Andretti. Will he stop now? He slows down and heads onto the pit lane. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
There he is, twice the winner at Long Beach. Mario Andretti coming from the pole position. Hits the mark right on target. Left front already off. Right front is off. Now the right rear comes back over the wall. Fuel hose is coupled. Everything appears to be routine at the moment. This Newman Haas team efficiently getting the Chevy Power Lola into gear, ready to go. Mario revving the engine down off the block, and the leader gets back on course.
And as Mario Andretti comes out, we look for Emerson Fittipaldi. It appears that Mario Andretti will come off of this stop and retain the lead. There is Fittipaldi as he comes onto the main stretch. At the same time, here is Mario Andretti all the way at the other end of Shoreline Drive, so Andretti keeps the lead.
So Mario Andretti now with full tanks and new tires. They're not brand new, they've been scrubbed, but they are cold, and you can see the car moving on the racetrack. That was because of the cold tires. Mario will take about 5 or 6 corners to get the temperatures up. At this time he's working with a car that's heavier than it was when it went into the pits, because now it's got its full load of fuel on. With those cold tires, he's got to redial himself in to the intricacies and the accuracy of driving within those concrete barriers.
So with the pit stops now all complete, the positions have remained almost unchanged. Mario Andretti leads it. The 20 car of Emerson Fittipaldi is in second place. In third place is his teammate, Kevin Kogan. In fourth place is Al Unser Jr. Fifth place is Roberto Guerrero. And owing to that very long stop to work on the front wings of the car, Michael Andretti has dropped back into sixth position.
Well, there you see Emerson Fittipaldi. He's also in new tires now. Of course, he's settling in, and he's getting lined up to get through under braking. That's the tight way to do it. You use the road to your best advantage. Of course, that team have got new sponsors for this year. It's about a $5.5 million year for a team to be financed as well as they want to be, with about 10 engines in the garage. They bring about 6 engines to this race for both of those drivers. So it's a big budget operation. You would expect to see the same kind of money being spent by Penske and, of course, for the Mario Andretti effort. And remember, there's only one driver in the Carl Haas Paul Newman team.
And the car that Emerson Fittipaldi got around there was Jeff Brabham. Jeff is in 7th place, so the leaders are now beginning to work their way well into the top 10. And in that 15 car of Jeff Brabham is that new Brabham Honda engine. Jeff worked with it a lot last year. They hope for a great deal out of it this year. Here's a Chevrolet engine with its problems as Chuck Sprague and the Danny Sullivan team try to get that car started. It is not going at all, and it does not appear to be a good day for Danny Sullivan.
Emerson Fittipaldi, and there you see the leader, Mario Andretti, coming down. Carl Haas, his team owner with Paul Newman, had a remarkable success in motor racing in the Can-Am Championship. Of course, he's done well in Indy cars, and of course, he's been to Formula One last year. That was not so enjoyable for him, but the team certainly have come back with power this year and are really dominating this race. Mario Andretti showing his enormous experience, and of course, Tyler Alexander, who's heading up the team management of this team this year. He's in charge as Danny Sullivan finally steps out of his car. He's been in it all that time.
So Mario Andretti, after making his first stop, retains the lead. In second place is Emerson Fittipaldi. Kevin Kogan runs in third place. Then Al Unser Jr. being chased by Roberto Guerrero and young Michael Andretti, the defending champion. We'll be back.
PPG, worldwide leader in production of automotive finishes, automotive and architectural glass, chemicals, fiberglass, and medical instruments, is proud to sponsor the 15-event series. See the stars race for the PPG Cup. See the exotic PPG pace cars. Next race, the Indianapolis 500, May 24th.
The Superstars competition heats up on NBC.
We're back at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Mario Andretti has led right from the green flag and through the first series of pit stops. Emerson Fittipaldi is second. Kevin Kogan rides in third. Roberto Guerrero has now moved up to fourth. Al Unser Jr. is fifth, and Michael Andretti runs in sixth.
Well, this shadow that Andretti has over his shoulder with Fittipaldi is growing because Fittipaldi was much further back. He's made up ground in Andretti, and this is real pressure for Mario. He's got to keep very smooth. He's got to be able to treat his transmission well. A lot of second gear work here. It takes a lot out of the transmission. It's the type of course that's very tough on second gear, for example. So this is the type of race you would expect to see a second or a third gear being stripped by the end of the race. So everybody has to keep that in mind. Most drivers know that, and they've got a lot of experience, but Andretti's car does seem to be more solid on the road, just a wee bit more sure-footed.
The battle here for third place, the 7 car of Kevin Kogan. Chevrolet power being challenged by the Cosworth-powered machine of Roberto Guerrero. And you can see underneath the cars the constant changing in pavement from asphalt to concrete and back again. It makes for different handling, and it can be very rough on the tires.
It also is quite difficult, and there Guerrero tries to slip through under braking. That's the type of situation that he could get his nose cut off on. It's very easy to get a front wing damage in a maneuver such as that. You've got to be sure that you've got space, and maybe he was just testing out Kogan, but Kogan's quite an aggressive driver. The difference in surface that you mentioned is very important, and those white lines and yellow lines also affect the car's handling. When, if under cornering, the tires go over those painted lines, they can certainly have a difference of friction. The coefficient is different, and it therefore isn't so easy for a driver to handle that.
So this battle continues for third place. In the meantime, Danny Sullivan is out of the race and is now with our Bruce Jenner. Bruce, go ahead.
Danny Sullivan, obviously a very disappointing day for you. The Miller American Racing car disappointment.
Big disappointment after about 6 or 7 laps. We lost the valve. We don't know whether a wastegate problem developed or whatever. Just started throwing the valve off at about 8,000 RPM. And then the engine is cut out, and it looks like it was a fuel metering unit.
And Roberto Guerrero now being challenged by Al Unser Jr. There's Kevin Kogan coming through, and Al Unser Jr. gets past Roberto Guerrero as they both move around Randy Lewis.
Well, that was a neat move by the young Unser, because that was no easy matter to get past Guerrero. It did seem that Guerrero was going well earlier in the day, but he might have maybe missed a gear at that time. It seemed that he just slowed momentarily, and Unser got a run at him. So now he's got in front. It'll remain to be seen whether he can hold it there.
On the pit straight, the battle continues for the lead. Mario Andretti trying to hold off a charging Emerson Fittipaldi. Emerson has been filling up Mario's mirrors just lap after lap, and he really has to be worrying Andretti, though Andretti seems to be taking a nice smooth line lap after lap. So perhaps Fittipaldi, who's driving a little bit loose, isn't the challenge that he seems.
Well, it's difficult for us to think that simply because he's been able to catch up and stay with Mario without any trouble. In fact, Mario is using more room now, actually using more of the racetrack than he was earlier. When you see him exiting those corners, he's absolutely hard up against the wall in most cases.
Here again, again, the battle for fourth place. Al Unser Jr., the 30 car. Roberto Guerrero is right behind as they touch up above 11,000 RPM and 176 miles an hour. It's the battle for fourth place. Coming down into the first turn, Guerrero comes to the inside, brakes smoothly. Can he continue there? No. Al Unser has the better line of the next turn. Now can Guerrero hold him off? Guerrero's around, and Guerrero has fourth place.
Well, that was a move, because that had to take a lot of guts there, a lot of determination, and a lot of confidence in each other, because, you know, if those wheels had entangled at that time, one car would have leapt right over another.
Back to the lead once again. Fittipaldi still trying to challenge Andretti. We don't often see a pass after the first turn. Normally they single file for the second, the third, the fourth turn. So a brave move by Guerrero to pick up. And Fittipaldi has a problem here. He raises his hand to tell other competitors he's slowing. Fittipaldi apparently with a very serious problem.
Oh, just too bad, because quite honestly, that was Mario's only real opposition in this race. He came off the power immediately. He looked in his rearview mirror. He raised his hand, and frankly, Mario Andretti is long gone now. And here is a very sad, I am sure, Emerson Fittipaldi, because I think he thought he had the pace to win this motor race, or at least stay with Mario and get an opportunity to slip past.
Well, Emerson Fittipaldi came back to racing in the Indy cars 3 years ago here at Long Beach. He was a challenger for the lead, and now is out of the race. The leader is this man, Mario Andretti. He has 2 other victories here in the Indy cars at Long Beach to his credit. We'll be back with more from the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach as Mario Andretti continues his lead and continues his dominance. Walk down Shoreline Drive for Emerson Fittipaldi out of this race. Let's go to Bruce Jenner.
Amo, you had such a good run going. What happened?
There's the point was the wastegate valve broke like after 25 laps. I lost 2 inches of compression and for sure damaged the engine, because the wastegate valve breaks for sure is going to make a hole in the piston or damage the valve. And it's really a shame. The car was running beautiful.
You look so strong, and also you had probably the best view of Mario Andretti. He's out there. He seems to now, with you out of it, he seems to have an enormous lead, about a 50-second lead on the field. Can anybody out there stay with him?
No, I don't think so. Mario was running very consistent, running strong, and it's a shame. And I'd like to dice with Mario to the end of the race.
I think it would have been a great race. The two of you were in there battling.
Thank you.
So there you have it, that Mario Andretti is in fact handling very well. The question has to be the engine. Remember, 2 Chevrolets are already out of this event. Mario Andretti, the leader. Jose Garza with a quick spin, just taps the wall.
Well, it's not a particularly comfortable place he's in. As you can see, the cars passing him are really very close. Of course, there's flagmen there to be sure that they know about that, but even so, it's never nice to be there.
Mario Andretti, the leader, having to thread his way past that car of Jose Garza. Garza was in 10th at the time and pulled that spin right in the traffic lane. Very dangerous position. Now you see Garza is back and running, as in fact is running right behind Mario Andretti, the leader. The second place car, Kevin Kogan. He is being pursued by Roberto Guerrero. Brand new team this year. Guerrero, you can see, is having his problems. When he comes off the throttle, a lot of exhaust gases burning through the turbocharger.
Well, that usually is a telltale message of things not to be good for the future in an engine, because when those gases start escaping in that fashion, it's either coming from the wastegate in the turbo, or it's coming from valves in the engine that may have become unseated. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But by Jove, he's making a charge right there. He's up in the inside, and he's through. A very clean pass by Guerrero right there. That's the type of situation that, in a way, Kogan should not have allowed him to get into.
So Roberto Guerrero picks up second place, and you've got smoke coming off the back of Kogan's car. There you see a display of blue smoke. That's usually oil.
Well, I think that may have been the reason that Guerrero got past so easily. I think he was already off it. I think there's a reduction in the power of Kevin Kogan's engine there. I think that was my observation there. I think it was him that may have backed off a little bit.
Question again, we're talking a Chevrolet engine as Al Unser Jr. comes by and picks up third place. So Kogan with obviously a terminal problem now, and another Chevrolet engine in doubt.
Well, it's a question now as to whether the Chevy engine is going to hold up. As I said at the beginning of the show, it's a question of a new engine getting married into a chassis, and its lubrication, its cooling, its vibrations, and all of these things
Kogan as he struggles his way onto the pit road and down into the pits. His pit's only a few feet away now. But with that display of blue smoke at the back, it looks like the day may be over for Kevin Kogan. Indeed, he doesn't even try for the pits. He rolls the car back toward the paddock. So Kevin Kogan is done. The indication is that some of these cars, especially those with dual wastegates, which they've installed for aerodynamic purposes, are having problems with the wastegates, and that is destroying engines. So here is Mario Andretti, by the way, a single wastegate on his Chevrolet engine, performing well. Let's go to Gary Gerald now.
With this talk about problems relating to wastegates, possibly, Gary Robazzini is the crew chief here for Emerson Fittipaldi. Tell us, what is the function now of the wastegate, and what happens when it malfunctions?
Well, the wastegate regulates your boost, and when it fails, usually it makes the pop-off valve open up, and you lose all your manifold pressure. That you're down on horsepower. When it goes away, you can't regulate the boost up or down. It just blows it shut, and you can't do anything but just hope that no problem will recur into it.
Once that happens, for all intents and purposes, your day is virtually done. You could stay on the course, but you're not going to be able to be competitive. Is that correct?
Well, we were down about 2 inches, and we felt that wasn't hurting us. Our mileage was good, so we thought we were still in good shape. But as you see, something broke, and I don't know if it was wastegate-related problem or not. We'll have to look into it. Thank you.
Well, back on the circuit, here comes Michael Andretti. You can see his left front wing now is askew, and just behind him is his father. There comes Rick Mears, and then there is Mario Andretti closing down on his son.
Well, this wing that is out of line, in fact, for Michael Andretti is really giving him a problem. And there, of course, is young Al. He's bumping over the bumpy streets of Long Beach. It's a tough job on suspension. You can see the car having to work quite hard over those bumps. This is something that a road course gives, and differently than the billiard table surfaces you often get in purpose-built racetracks. And, of course, it's an added problem for the engineers to get the suspension married not only to the different surfaces, but to those bumps.
Well, the top positions have all stabilized now, with Mario Andretti leading Roberto Guerrero, then Al Unser, then Michael Andretti. Now, Al Unser Jr. has actually won on this circuit, not in an Indy car, but in one of the Toyota Celebrity Races, the Pro Division, 2 years ago. This is this year's edition of the Toyota Celebrity Race, which pits some professionals starting behind the celebrities, and they work their way around the track. Here is Jason Bateman trying to get past Richard Dean Anderson, and indeed he gets it done. You'll notice the speeds are slightly different and the lines are vastly different. That's Perry King as he takes on Hollywood Hamilton and ricochets off of both him and the walls. Well, you can see that their driving styles do leave something to be desired. Well, the rookie Jason Bateman won, beating out Richard Dean Anderson. The pro winner was Juan Fangio II, followed by Pernelli Jones. The Toyota Celebrity Race is all a part of Toyota's overall commitment to motorsport.
Well, our involvement in motorsports, we learn a great deal about technology. I've been in racing for about 35 years, and in NASCAR racing as well as this type of racing, and the great wealth of knowledge on engine performance, suspension, and car design, aerodynamic design is a great function from racing, as well as the popularity of the product. So we learned that, plus we think winning is a very important thing. So that's why we're in racing.
Well, at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, it is Mario Andretti. Now, with an enormous lead, he's actually closing down behind his son, Michael Andretti, and Michael currently occupies 4th place. So Mario has lapped most of the field. This broadcast is being produced under authority granted by Championship Auto Racing Teams for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction of this broadcast in any form without the express written permission of Championship Auto Racing Teams is expressly prohibited. We'll be back.
Of the one, they've done everything they could, which is why 2 out of 3 Indy 500 drivers rely on STP oil treatment, because when it comes right down to it, STP adds extra lubrication to reduce engine wear in whatever you drive. STP is the racer's edge.
American tradition continues with an old-fashioned doubleheader. First, the American League champion Boston Red Sox face the Toronto Blue Jays. Then on to Southern California.
The crowd under beautiful blue Southern California skies that watches the run through the streets of Long Beach. There's second place, Roberto Guerrero. Third place, Al Unser Jr. Then comes Jose Garza. That's Barbaza with a sick engine over on the inside of the circuit. Now look here. Here comes Michael Andretti. And right behind is his father, the leader of the race here, who is now lapped all but the top 4 positions on a magnificent run here at Long Beach, California. Michael Andretti still having problems with his wings. You can see one is cocked up there and definitely not helping him, and in fact may actually be lifting the front end of the car off the ground on the long straightaways. Now Mario Andretti closes up and sees Michael just ahead. The Andrettis, the name has absolutely dominated the run at Long Beach. They live in this quiet eastern Pennsylvania town of Nazareth, a city that has one street named just for the Andrettis. And just down the street, just across the street from the high school, is the family home of the Andretti family. Inside speaks of high technology and of the racing career of all of the Andretti family. There are 3 large trophy cases for Mario's awards. Michael has a smaller corner of the room for his trophies, including his Long Beach Cup from last year. Michael is following his father's footsteps.
I don't know if I'm just looking at Dad's record. I think any driver, I think that's their goal. You know, they'd love to be world champion someday, win Indy and win IndyCar championships. So I don't see that it's because of Dad that I'm going after them. It's because I'm a race car driver.
For Mario, watching Michael race is still very difficult.
No, it's never easy. It's not easy now. I'd rather probably be in the race myself, maybe because then I'm occupied by what I'm doing. To be just an outright spectator, it's to me, it's a chore. It's terrible.
You're leading at Long Beach, and he comes up in the mirrors. What do you have to start thinking about? What does he do well?
Well, first of all, I have to start thinking about, well, I got to just go out and still drive hard and clean and not make the mistake, and try not to think about that it's him behind me. You know, in this game, a lot of it is psychological, and you can do yourself in real quick. And, you know, as long as I can do that, I think I could still be fine. You know, I mean, if he's going to get by me, he'll have to get by nice and clean.
The Andretti men love high-tech toys. Anything that is fast and loud. There's a massive collection stored at their home in a garage down the street. Michael drives his off-road pickup truck, Anna Lagonda. Mario is a little more exotic with his Countach. Remembering that Paul Newman is one of Mario's owners, this could be a scene out of The Color of Money. In this case, the part played by Tom Cruise is played by young Michael.
Ooh, that was nice.
On the circuit, it's a different matter, though. Mario Andretti is just behind his son, and Michael is trying to hold on.
Well, it's youth and exuberance against the old dog of knowledge and maturity, and it's tough for a young man to keep that behind. Of course, he is running with a disadvantage with that wing you can see out of line there on the right-hand side of your picture. That doesn't help him. Mario now is going to choose his moment, and young son, like a gentleman, moves over and lets Papa through. That was not an aggressive pass by either party.
Very wisely let him through. Here is Roberto Guerrero in for his second stop, but remember, this is a car with its problems. We've heard its engine miss. They have really been fighting to keep this car in its position. Guerrero was running in second place just before he made this stop. It's all 4 tires being changed here for Roberto Guerrero as they send him back to the action.
He accelerates out, he flips down his visor, he's ready for racing. Andretti is still out on the track. He has not come in for fuel yet. He's driving his car very, very quietly indeed. And Guerrero now accelerating hard. He's exiting exiting the pit lane and back onto the racetrack. You can see the tires are new. He's going to have to be gentle. Remember, the tires are cold. He can't take any liberties at that time. In fact, you can see he's going a little bit more gently for that reason, perhaps.
So Roberto Guerrero, second place, has made his stop. Here is third place, Al Unser Jr. in the pits. They have fitted up front tires. Again, the refueling process complete. Now everything on board, and Al Unser Jr. rolls back into the action. So second and third place have made their stops. When will this man stop? Mario Andretti. He went 2 laps beyond everyone else on his first stop. This is his second and final pit position. And how long can he keep this car out? How good is its ability to use fuel on the circuit? It appears to be excellent.
Well, Mario Andretti, of course, is getting a readout with regards to how much fuel he's got left in his tank, and that gets information to him that's absolutely vital. That has to come.
So when will Mario Andretti stop? We'll be back after these messages from your local station. Grand Prix of Long Beach. This is Paul Page with Jackie Stewart, Gary Gerald, and Bruce Jenner. Mario Andretti is the leader. Second place, as a result of pit stops, is Michael Andretti. And currently in third place is Roberto Guerrero. He's being chased right now by Al Unser Jr. And here comes little Al on the pit straight down to the inside, and Al Unser Jr. takes over third place.
Well, it looks to me that Guerrero's still having troubles because he just doesn't have a grip of the racetrack or the car in the fashion that he had earlier in this race. For him, I think he's nursing a car that's really not behaving to the best of its ability.
We had some indication earlier that the engine definitely wasn't working well. It's difficult to tell if he was simply having gear problems, maybe a gear gone, or if the pop-off valve on his engine is releasing the pressure from his turbocharger and thereby reducing horsepower.
Well, Al Unser Jr. has just pulled away from him just a little bit too easily, Paul. And look at, he's looking in his mirror, he's looking behind the car to see if there's something wrong there. That's usually a sign from a driver's point of view. He's puzzled, he wants to check. And a rear view mirror sometimes is a very good way of doing it, just to see if there's a puff of smoke thing out of the car behind you.
So Roberto Guerrero is now fighting some problems with his car. The definition of those problems remains to be known, but obviously he's slowing down. And Al Unser Jr. has picked up his position. So Al Unser Jr. on the charge now finds himself in a similar position to last year, trying to catch the leader. Roberto Guerrero is just hanging on by his fingertips. Now, Michael Andretti has been circling this track with problems with the front wings on his car. During the first pit stop, they replaced them. Now, they're facing the same problem again. Here's Bruce.
Michael Andretti slowing down, brings the Craco March into the pits. Immediately, they start to change all 4 tires. As Trevor Weston puts in the fuel, Jim Wilson waiting for it to vent. It vents up. They're off on the fuel, but they still have it up on the jack. They are going to continue to try to fix that left front wing on the car. From lap 1, Michael Andretti has been having problems, but continues to stay in the hunt. The luck of the Andrettis have kept everybody in this, with Mario leading and now Michael coming in second. But this is a very long, lengthy pit stop for Michael Andretti. You can see the frustration as he looks to the team trying to get it out. Now they don't have the right bolt. He doesn't care. He wants to keep going. But the crew continues to work on that front wing. Now they're pulling the wing off. They're going to take the second wing off. A lot of confusion right now in the Craco pit. Michael Andretti looking for this single to keep going, and now they decided just to tape the one wing on. A long and lengthy pit stop for Michael Andretti. Shaking his head. And Michael's going to go out of the pit. I don't know if he's going to stay on. He Hodgkins it out. A very frustrated Michael Andretti, Paul.
Frustration for the crew as well.
Yes, but for Michael it's worse, because keep in mind that it was the other side of the car that was damaged in that first lap incident. Now it's the other bit that's missing, and that's the bit that he needs most to press down on the outside wheel for right-hand bend.
And with the pit stops, this man, Al Unser Jr., has picked up second place in his car number 30. Now Mario Andretti, scheduled for a stop. Let's go to the pits and Gary.
Here's the man of the moment, Mario Andretti, and what a rare luxury when you get entire field. It looks like it's going to be fresh rubber all the way around, and of course they'll use virtually all the remaining fuel. It's been a magnificent afternoon as the man who won here the first time the Indy cars competed and doubled it the next year is hoping to make it 3 out of 4 and is away in 21.5 seconds.
Nice smooth stop for the Newman Haas team, and Mario Andretti without question will keep the lead. Remember, he's already lapped most of the starting field. As we watch up the pit road, there comes Mario. He's really burning the coals as he heads down the pit lane.
Well, for Mario Andretti now, he's got to be conscious that he's closing towards the end of this race. He'll be looking for every little vibration in his car. Those are the kinds of things that a race driver gets very nervous about at this stage in a race. And Andretti's been through it so many times before.
There's Tom Sneva in the pits, currently in 4th place. Sneva always does here well, and he's managed to do it again, just hanging on, being competitive, now running in 4th place and should maintain 4th with that stop. Back to the leader, Mario Andretti, with that Ilmor Chevrolet racing engine. 2 of them have already fallen by the wayside. Can Mario Andretti continue this pace? Can he win a 3rd race at Long Beach? We'll be back. Of Long Beach, 2nd place, Al Unser Jr., then Roberto Guerrero, followed by Tom Sneva, and then young Michael Andretti, last year's winner. Let's go to Gary Gerald now.
Well, for Roberto Guerrero, who started on the front row, it's a multitude of problems. First, there was the pop-off valve that we heard about. Then there were clutch difficulties. He has brake problems, and now he's got some body work that's been on fire. They douse it with water. He stalls the engine. The clutch doesn't grab, and they continue to work as the body work continues to smolder on the left rear. Now the starter has come over the wall. The crew's scrambling, trying to get him back out. He's been in the top 5, but despite all of these problems, he's hoping that he can get back out there and still finish, perhaps, in the top 5. Now they're going to try to push start it. They've forgotten the starter. The motor grabs. Guerrero trying to get away.
Well, the engine does catch as we watch the leader, Mario Andretti. Tremendous heat in that engine compartment. The turbocharger and the engine bottled in there so tightly it builds up tremendous heat. In fact, especially so when the car is stopped in the pits. And here's a problem with Roberto Guerrero. Now what was heat has blossomed into full flame as he climbs out of the car. And now Guerrero remembers the car does have an onboard fire extinguisher, and he'll just try and use that.
Well, the office will be closed for Roberto Guerrero at this Long Beach event. Mario Andretti is now going to drive with silky smooth touch. He's going to be going down through the gears from 5th to 4th to 3rd to 2nd. He's not going to be jumping down through the gears because that way the transmission can be jarred, and that could be a problem. It's going to be Mr. Smooth from now on.
There's 2nd place, Al Unser Jr., the same position that he occupied at this time last year, only then he was just behind Michael Andretti. He is much further back in 2nd place from Michael's father, Mario. And there is Tom Sneva. Sneva currently runs in 3rd place, and he comes around to lap young Michael Andretti, who is still struggling with that car and its bad wing. Now Tom Sneva comes out to go around and lap Michael Andretti, though the indication is that Sneva has been having some problems with the pop-off valve on his car, and it's not giving him full power either. Nevertheless, a good run by Tom Sneva as he brings it around the hairpin and puts his car on the pit straight once again. Tom Sneva with a good run here, despite the fact that his forte really is running the short mile ovals in an Indy car. Nevertheless, a magnificent run for Tom Sneva. Now we watch back toward the hairpin. Here he is. Mario Andretti brings it onto the pit straight, and the white flag flies for Mario Andretti. Just one more lap to go. So Mario Andretti on his way to victory. Let's go down to his pits now, and Gary.
They're getting ready to celebrate down here, and what a time of celebration. Paul Newman recently got an Oscar. Carl Haas has got out a new victory cigar, and Mario Andretti's about to get a new trophy here at Long Beach.
And Paul Newman and Mario Andretti all beginning to smell that color of money. And as Newman says, there's nothing that smells quite like it. This is the white flag for Al Unser Jr., the 2nd place car, as he acknowledges the white flag. And Mario Andretti reduces speed just a bit. All he has to do is bring this car around the circuit one more time. Not only will Mario have the victory, but the Ilmor Chevrolet racing engine will notch its first victory in its entire history. 1 year of development with the Penske team last year. Now they bring the engine to several other teams, most notably this one, Newman Haas, and it is performed here today. 2 of those engines went by the wayside, but Mario's engine has not missed a beat. Mario Andretti his final left-hand turn. Now pitches the car around ever so carefully. A final right-hand turn. A final burst of acceleration. And Mario Andretti has won the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach.
Well, I can't think of anything better for him right now. Look at Carl, very smooth and very calculated. Paul Newman really ecstatic by this. He so much loves his motor racing.
Well, it's an Oscar and an IndyCar win for Paul Newman. And there's Tyler Alexander scoring yet another win, but his first with this team, as Mario Andretti has won the race. Now we watch again to the hairpin turn as the 30 car. That's Al Unser Jr. makes his final turn, and for the second year in a row, Al Unser Jr. will come home in second position.
Well, it seems to me that those father and son organizations in America work very well, whether it's an Andretti or an Unser.
And Tom Sneva, the 33 car. You can see he's not under full power, but he acknowledges the checkered flag and finishes up in third place. Fourth place, if he can only hold on and keep the wings pointed right, you can see that car has seen a very long day. Michael Andretti finishes in fourth place. The defending champion here acknowledges fourth position and recognizes that his father has won the race. Mario Andretti, indeed, is the winner here in Long Beach. We'll be right back. So the day is over at Long Beach, California. The run through the streets, and Mario Andretti is once again the victor. For the Indy cars, the name Andretti still at the top of the field. Mario the winner. The defending champion, Michael Andretti, finishes in fourth place after a very, very long day. Al Unser Jr. finishes in second position. So the day is over. Mario Andretti and a new racing engine, the champions at Long Beach. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, Paul, here's your usual celebration. It's becoming quickly a tradition at Long Beach. The name is Andretti, of course, as it has been the last 3 years. Mario for the third time in the last 4 that the Indy cars have been here. Getting a chance to peel off the helmet. Now the balaclava, a soft drink, a Goodyear cap. Mario, I remember commenting in 1984 when you dominated this event, you made it look easy, and your comment was, it's never easy. But today, again, you made it look like it was so easy.
Well, I tell you, the car just ran fantastic. I'm so happy because this is the first win for the Chevrolet Indy engine, and we have a lot of new people on board.
There were other teams that had myriads of problems today. There were wastegate problems, there were clutch problems, brake problems. Any difficulties at all for you?
None whatsoever. The car just ran perfect. When Fittipaldi was behind me, I tried to just run his pace, tried to regulate the car the best way and not use any more than I had to. He definitely kept me honest, but I had a little more to go if I really needed it, and it just went to plan. You know, it's one of those races that just went perfect. I loved it, and I'm so happy because of our new team.
In that streak of Cosworth victories of 84 back to 81, you had 13 of those wins. Now you're the very first to bring the Ilmore Chevy here to Victory Lane. Congratulations.
Really happy for them. Thank you.
The Andretti domination continues, Paul.
Well, for Mario Andretti, the win worth $97,410 and 22 points. Second, Al Unser Jr. Tom Sneva was third. Michael Andretti fourth. Followed by Jose Lee Garza, Chip Robinson, Tays, Lewis, Mears, and McPherson. And there's young Michael joining his father. Last year it was just the opposite, a handshake from Mario to Michael on his first IndyCar win.